Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in. Center of attention this week. It's coming back since this is the end of the football season. Wish it was on a happier note, but it's one of the more topical ones. And since this show is going to be so heavily based around the Super Bowl, it only fits in this part of the segment. So, center of attention this week, talking about two legends that were lost since the last time that we've been here for a podcast, since episode 170. We're now on 171 live Thursday night before the Super Bowl. Lost Carl Weathers, and then earlier this week lost Toby Keith. Carl Weathers was at the end of last week, going into the weekend. Toby Keith, I believe, was Tuesday morning. It's always something where it's a little bit more reminiscent that we are not always going to be there, and I think it's a good. We talk about it a lot, but just reminders, because we are so invested in our own families. Like those were two guys. I can remember watching Rocky, and Carl Weathers playing Apollo Creed was my introduction to bad guy turned good guy. Like, you're not always, you can fight against your brother, but at some point he's going to turn around and he's going to have your back and get you back to where you need to be. And he was the quintessential tragic hero when he gets killed by Drago in the fourth movie. And then he goes on, having played in the NFL, then goes into an acting career and becomes one of the better actors of all time. Legendary characters in Predator, Chubbs from Happy Gilmore. Adam Sandler kept him in his movies. He was in the Gronk Kick of Destiny campaign. It's wild that things change so quickly. I guess he was fighting, battling his own disease, and so was Toby Keith. He hadn't looked right since it's been a while now, but both those guys, I can remember. I mean, my brother and I have been singing duets of Beer for My Horses, him and Willie Nelson, and Toby Keith has just always been a part of my life growing up. That was what we listened to in the car driving around. So country music and the world, Toby Keith, that was a blow. Carl Weathers, the sports and acting and just the inspiration that whole franchise brought. If there was no Apollo Creed, there would be no Rocky Balboa. There would be no Sylvester Stallone. And the Rocky series would not exist. And think about how that would affect the sports world today, because I guarantee you can ask a good majority of athletes if they've been inspired at least some point by the Rocky Balboa franchise. And Carl Weathers has a big part to play in that because of the character that he had. So this week's center of attention, unfortunate that we lost those two guys. But we're going to get into our big game preview, 58th edition of the big game. Coming up, Nico Bryant and I on episode 171 of the Far End of the Bench podcast, tuning in live on Thursday night.
If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit on the far end of the bench.
Oh, there we go. And we're in episode 171 live Thursday night. Last live show for a while. To update everybody, this will be our Super Bowl preview. I'll have another preview show coming up Sunday. Talking the Gridiron is going to be live Sunday morning early, so you might not wake up early enough for it to watch it live, but go back and check it out before the game. And then we'll have our post-game show Monday. But this will be kind of our culmination of the season, of the playoffs. We've been doing live playoff shows for the past few weeks, and now we'll be taking next week off. Nico's traveling for the Champ Series coming up after the Super Bowl next week, and he'll be out off with the Redwoods, California Redwoods, taking out the Champ Series, and we will be taking the week off next week, coming back with our normal pre-recorded episodes, bring back some of the segments since it is the middle. We're still kind of waiting for the playoff push. We haven't even gotten to the trade deadline of the NHL season, so it feels like the other sports are kind of dragging on. But before we know it, we'll turn around and it'll be time for March Madness. The wrestling tournament, NCAA, I might be going out there live. There's a lot of things coming up, but Nico, it's the culmination of our favorite. We're football guys first. This is a football podcast first. It's the culmination of the NFL season, and we have a great matchup of two teams that are probably the best teams that were left in the league. The Chiefs proved it on the way that they've made it to the Super Bowl. The 49ers, though they've looked bad, have done what they needed to get here. And it's time to talk some Super Bowl football.
Yeah, it's the most televised, it's the most watched event of the calendar year every single year. It's a culmination of the biggest sport in America. It's a culmination of some of the best athletes of all time, some of the biggest personalities in the world all convene on this one city. And obviously, being in Vegas, that adds a little bit of extra juice to it. But it's everything you want in the sports world all coming down to one day. No one, and I mean no one schedules anything on Sunday because everyone knows. All right, what's the deal? What part are we going to? How are we going to be watching the big
Whose
game?
house and how much beer am I going to have to
How
go
much
to
beer? What am
during
I?
this?
What do I need to bring? Like that's what the conversation starts and ends with on Sunday. It doesn't matter if you're a diehard football fan or if you're just a casual and just want to watch the commercials. Cough, cough, Taylor Swift fans. It really just it has something for everybody, including the halftime show, including all the fun props that we'll get to. It has everything, something for everybody, and obviously you and I will enjoy the football part of it the most.
Yeah, I'm excited for the game. I think it's going to be. It's weird how things have turned out. Time is a flat circle. I don't know if you've seen the pictures going around social media, but this is all very similar events leading up to what happened in 2020. The Chiefs and 49ers were the last like major sporting event that happened before the pandemic shutdown. So it's a little bit eerie, but it's a matchup of two teams that one is trying to push themselves over the hump. They probably should have been there. And what's up, Tyler? You got a big game coming up this week. Here's the thing. I've experienced it as a fan. I know you've experienced it as a fan. Tyler has experienced it as a fan. What are those feelings that you have as a fan of your team going into Super Bowl Sunday? I didn't feel that excited. I was more nervous. We had to have a party. My mom forced me to host a Super Bowl party that year, and I couldn't just hang. I'm not normal when I watch a Bengals football game. What was your feeling going into the
So
Broncos?
be able to like relive and actually like be present in two Super Bowl runs. Obviously, the one where we literally didn't stand a chance the whole game, and that was probably the worst feeling I may have ever had in the sports world. Where literally from the opening snap of the game was over. There was no returning, and that sucked because I didn't get to enjoy the game at all. By halftime, I turned that shit off and said, "I'm fucking done." Okay, so that one it's an outlier because it's just so much different. Obviously, going back to Super Bowl 50, it was a feeling of a couple different things. It was a feeling of this is our last chance with this team, and if we don't do it now, I may not be able to get another better chance.
If not now, when? Yeah.
If not now, when? And obviously, with your team in there, I think it's a little bit different. You're a very young team, very new to the whole story. And my team at the time was, like I said, Peyton's last year. Vaughn was in the prime of his career. A bunch of guys at the back end, if not prime of their career. It was now or never. And luckily, we were able to do it now. Going into a Super Bowl week as a fan of the team, look, your rituals and everything you may have, you can almost throw them out of the fucking window because unfortunately you have friends and family that want to enjoy the game with you. There's very, very few times that you can experience the joy of a sport with everybody. Everybody. Not everybody will sit down and watch the NBA Finals. Not everybody will sit down and watch the NHL Stanley Cup Final, MLB World Series. The only other sport where that probably is a possibility is the World Cup, and that's because it's on a global stage. There's very, very few people that will watch a championship game all together and want to enjoy, especially when you have a team in the race. You have a team in the race. Yes, it's stressful. Yes, it sucks. But like I said, only 2 teams out of 30 make it every single year. And unless you have Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady at the helm, it's very, very rare you get to come here, right? It's been 4 years since the 49ers have been to the Super Bowl. It's been another 20 some odd, maybe 30 some odd years since they won it. I don't know the exact number. Like it's very, very rare. It is very, very rare. It's glorified air that you were in. And like I said, it's fun to enjoy it, and it's fun to be around festivities, be around the storylines and everything. It may not be fun to pay $500,000 for a third level ticket, but it may be exciting to be a part and see everything else. So like I said, if you're a fan of the 49ers or Chiefs, one, if you're a Chiefs fan, I don't know how you're still listening to the show. And two, 49ers fans, enjoy it. Like I said, you have one of the best teams you've ever assembled, and you got to enjoy the players and the great team you have when you can.
Yeah, I feel like it's the Chiefs fans that do find this show are probably the ones that find us on Variety Sports Network after we post on our show, and it's unfortunate for them because they tune in and they hear a lot of slander. But I also chuckle because they're like, oh, Variety Sports, what are these guys far end of the bench? Well, they're talking about they're not talking very nicely about the Chiefs. They're not saying good things. They don't like Taylor Swift. They hate us. What? The Broncos, the
Crazy.
people outside of Kansas City hate us. What do we do? Remember in 2018, we were all rooting against New England. You either die a hero or live long enough to see
Look,
yourself become a villain, and they've become a villain.
hand up. I was rooting on the Patriots that year. Hand up. I was, because I obviously wasn't rooting for them in the Super Bowl, but like what did Patty B say? You don't root for divisional opponent success in the playoffs. So yeah, I wasn't rooting for them, but yeah, it is weird that the fucking Chiefs have not indoctrinated, but like watered down how much I hated Tom Brady growing up. They have really maybe like feel sympathetic of being like, you know what, Tom was really good for such a long time. It was so entertaining to watch, and now Mahomes is just making me fucking throw up every time I see his face or his Kermit voice. So it's crazy that the Chiefs have been able to do that, but they have been.
Well, damn, Nigo, I didn't know that you had that harsh of feeling to get about me. And we're just trying to. Nobody really gave us a chance this year, and I'm just glad that we came together as a team. And I feel like we should talk about the Kansas City Chiefs because nobody's really put any respect on our name. So be sure. This is Patrick Mahomes telling you guys, follow at FEOTB Pod. Follow Far End of the Bench. Subscribe if you're watching live on the YouTube channel, and be sure to leave a like and a comment. All right, I'm glad that we were able to get Patrick away from the Super Bowl festivities for that. Let's talk about the Kansas City Chiefs and the roller coaster of a season that they did have. We're going to go through both teams, and we're starting with the defending champs. We saw them opening night against Detroit. This was the Lions coming out party. It was still a very close game. We all remember this was when the memes, Kadarius Toney was Clifford Franklin for a weekend, could not catch a cold, standing in the Eskimo country. So it was bad, and the Chiefs it was always close. They aren't the team that runs away from people. You look at the Chicago game where they dominated 41-10, but that was majority defense. This is a different Chiefs team than we saw even last year in the Super Bowl. Last year, they were an offensive team that went toe-to-toe with another juggernaut, an offense that was clicking on all cylinders. They were able to win a shootout. It was a defensive play. You could talk about the turf. That was a big deal after last year's game. They won the game last year. This year, it's a different mindset that this Kansas City Chiefs team has. They are defensive-oriented. Steve Spagnuolo is the driving force. I think you could look at a majority of the Chiefs roster and their coaching staff. They would all say it's based off of Spags. What he's giving offenses he's just been confusing everybody and making guys that are very good look human. He shut down a lot of good teams this year, and the Chiefs are where they are because they know how to win close games in the postseason. They went on this run before by trailing in all their games. This is nothing new to them. They've been now underdogs, and now they've been on the road, and they're in a similar situation where the 49ers are favored going into the Super Bowl matchup, and we're going to see just who's going to show up. And this Chiefs team, though they started off rocky and they haven't looked the way that they did last season, this defense does still give me hope, and it's Patrick Mahomes. It's 15.
In years past, like I said, this offense had to get this team out of holes that the defense would leave, right? But you look at throughout this whole season, and the Chiefs did not win the division with flying colors like they had the last 4 or 5 years. There was not a real conversation, but there was a conversation of them losing losing the division at middle part of the season when the Broncos won 6 in a row, when the Raiders fired McDaniels and went on their little bit of a run. There was a conversation that'd be like, the Chiefs don't pick it up, they may fall into a wacky situation. Obviously, that never came to fruition. It was not even close to happening. But it just came to the dominance of it just shows the dominance of the previous teams that they had, where they would just come out and smack everybody in their mouth, and especially offensively. And like I said, this defense, that's one thing that Spagnuolo did much better this year than he has in years past, is he decided, you know what, if we hold teams under 20 points, there's a very good chance we're going to win every single game. It doesn't matter what happens offensively. It doesn't matter who the hell is catching footballs for them. If 15 is back there, you can almost guarantee that we can score 20 points. That's the attitude. That's the attitude that they brought. And Spagnuolo, the last couple of years has not been great. Defenses were not very good, not very talented. This year, with the additions they made by Nick Bolton in the draft last year, and the Chris Joneses obviously of the world, like this defense is, and the Jerry Sneed, very very much more dependent on the defense just producing big time for them. And when you have one of the best, most talented quarterbacks on the other side of the field, you have a top 5 defensive football. It just makes everything so much easier because when your defense is struggling, because like I said, your offense or defense can struggle at points in the playoffs in the regular season. When your defense is struggling like it has in the past, you can also rely back on your offense. That takes less of the burden on the offense throughout the entire regular season. Kadarius Toney, Rashee Rice, and MVS, they don't have that much of a burden. You just need to tell them, hey, get us 16 to 18 points, 2 touchdowns and a field goal, possibly 2 field goals, and we'll win this game. That is a very relieving thing as an offense that carried this team for a lot of years. Very, very relieving thing. And look, when this team got to the postseason, which we'll get to here in a moment, you can see how that affected them because the defense was a lot healthier, a lot flying around a lot more, and the offense was able to just pick up the pieces and the scraps that opposing teams' defenses were trying to defend against them.
Yes, they did have a losing streak this season. You can't really call it a streak, but they lost more than one game in a row, which it's the first season in a couple of years that's happened where they had 2 regular season games that they lost in a row. So they've had adversity. They've battled back. It was a lot of mental errors, and there was a lot of talk, especially around that middle part of the season, that this team was missing Bieniemy, and they were missing that guy that's going to hold everybody accountable on that side of the ball. Nagy isn't going to do it. Nagy's not going to be the guy that gets after somebody. And if you try and get after Patrick Mahomes as Matt Nagy, he's going to turn around and tell you to go kick rocks. I make $500 million, dude. They're going to fire you long before I'm gone. So let's just get this over with. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And they struggled for the first part of it. The thing about Patrick Mahomes this season is that he's shown he's going to trust his guys, and that's given them the confidence this season. So what began as a weakness for them with their wide receiver play, now you have Rashee being able to do what he's doing as a wide receiver. Kelsey's starting to find his groove again, but it's sporadic. They have to take points when they're presented, and that's something that's different with this Chiefs team. I think another thing that we have to remember, especially about their last matchup and the matchup that they ended up losing against Tampa Bay, Kansas City does like to play themselves out of good positions. If they are given every ability to run the football against the defense, think back to that Super Bowl they lost to Tampa. Tampa was begging them to run the ball. They were not running a defense that they could have stopped any ISO or just like downhill zone even, anything like that. And Kansas City, what do? No, I'm going to pass. We have Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to throw. I'm going to throw it deep. I'm going to throw it deep to Tyreek Hill. Patrick Mahomes can't get more than 5 seconds of pass protection, but I'm going to go ahead and try and throw it deep. So Kansas City, if Andy Reid can stay out of his own way, which he's proven before, if he can figure it out, halftime adjustments have been big for them on this run. That's something where Kansas City, it could hold them back, but it can also be a catalyst. I think that coaching is going to be a very big factor in this Super Bowl.
Oh, look, I think this year they showed that with Pacheco. Pacheco's been the best running back that Mahomes has played with since he got to the Chiefs and got to the league. Like he has been the perfect back for catching out of the backfield and also running downhill. The guy runs like his hair's on fire every time he goes downhill. And I think that Bills game really showed to me that they were not afraid to stick with the running game because obviously it was working a lot more. And when you face a high-powered offense like the Bills, like the Ravens, like they were playing the last 2 rounds, you have to maintain possession. And when you keep Mahomes on the field, whether it be running the ball or throwing the ball, it spills nothing but positive things for your team. And Pacheco has been an absolute X factor of this team. And you can say all you want about Kelsey and how good he is and how many touches he gets every game. This team has really, really heavily relied on Pacheco since week 1 to not carry this offense, but be a pivotal part of this offense and winning football games. Because you look at the record of games that they lost. Their rushing numbers are very, very low. Very low. You look at the games they won handedly, they were dominating the line of scrimmage, and Patrick Mahomes was doing Patrick Mahomes things. There wasn't a ton of shootout games. Obviously, the Ravens and Bills games are not much of a shootout, but there weren't a ton of shootout games. It was gritty in the paint games that or not in the paint, but in the trenches games that the Chiefs are winning, and that's far difference from what they've done in the years past.
Just for reference, Pacheco in the postseason this year on 63 carries, he has 254 yards, 4 yards a carry, and 3 touchdowns. Doesn't sound like a lot, but that's more rushing production than Patrick Mahomes has had. Mahomes is the second leading rusher on the team, by the way, with 75 yards on 14 carries.
And I would take a guess that that's 100 more yards than any other running back outside of maybe Damian Williams, that Super Bowl run when they beat the 49ers originally. I think that's more rushing yards than I would guess any time that Mahomes has been to the Super Bowl in this run, in this stretch.
Yeah, looking at their playoff run, they went through the Dolphins in that first round game. We mentioned that. We talked about it. It was the Freezer Bowl, or this generation's version of it, when you pulled the water out of the cooler and it just froze there. 26-7. The Dolphins were more fraudulent than anything, but they looked good. They beat up on a team when they should have. Then they go on the road to Buffalo, where everybody's talking about whether or not they can win on the road. They win close against the Buffalo team that was firing on all cylinders, had all the momentum in the world, and finally got to play Patrick Mahomes at their house, and they still stole their cookies. And I would say stole the cookies again of Baltimore. Didn't do much in the second half, but they got a big enough lead in the first half, and that defense shut down. I mean, we talked about it last week in the championship recap. The Ravens played themselves out of that game so badly, not running the football more than 6 times as the number 1 rushing team in the NFL. I just seriously don't know how that works, but Kansas City is here. They won 2 games on the road this year, and now they get to play. It's technically a home game. It's an AFC West stadium. They're very familiar with Allegiant Stadium, where they're at this weekend in Las Vegas. And they've been here before. Both these teams have been here before, so it's not like the Super Bowl procedures are different, but Kansas City has been here. If they win this year, it's a full-blown dynasty. 3 championships in the span of 5 years.
Oh, it's no doubt a dynasty. And the argument I will say against what you just said is I think it's majority going to be Niners fans. I think it's about 75-25 because of how close San Francisco is to Vegas and how many California 49ers fans there are and how close it is to Nevada. Because look, the California is the 49ers state, right? The Rams just moved here. Chargers were always the fucking sought after.
I thought it was a Redwood state, Nico.
Yeah, it is. It's sure as hell not the fucking Lakers. Look, I think it's we saw the media day on Monday. You saw everything that was going on. It was majority of boos for the Chiefs and majority of cheers for the 49ers. And maybe that's because of all the fucking Mahomes, Kelsey drama and all that shit and whatever. Or maybe it's because it's a majority 49ers fans. Just look at how many 49ers fans fill up SoFi Stadium when they play the Rams. Heck, when they play the 49ers. When the 49ers play the Chargers. That stadium is red. That stadium is not blue like the Rams and Chargers. And that's because the Chargers fan base is also ass. But the Rams fan base is a lot stronger than that. But it's constantly filled with red. And look, obviously it's going to be fully red, the stadium, because it's going to be Chiefs and 49ers fans. But I would take a guess that it would be 75-25, maybe 66-33 to be a little bit fair. But with how close San Francisco is, I think it's more of a home game. Yes, it's familiar territory because the Chiefs play the Raiders once a year there. But I think it's more San Francisco ties than Kansas City ties.
Is that not a Chiefs home stadium? Don't they always beat the Raiders out there?
It's everyone's home stadium. There's always more. The Chargers and Raiders don't play home games. They play 6 road division games every year. I don't care. I don't care if they beat us. It's always orange. It's always orange. It's always orange and it's always red. That's all I'm going to say. Those 2 stadiums, whenever a division opponent comes in, doesn't matter if the Broncos are fucking ass. Doesn't matter if the Chiefs are God. It's always going to be orange if the Broncos come. It's always going to be red. That's simple. That's how it always is.
Anything else that we want to say about the Chiefs before we move over to the other side and talk about the NFC champion 49ers?
Look, it's the greatest receiver quarterback duo in NFL history. It's going to take a lot to beat this team. And I don't know what the record is. I think I saw the statistics slightly. I think it's either 5-1 when underdogs in the postseason or something along those lines. And it shows how good this team is. And like I said, there's no one that plays better with the lights on and then this team. It doesn't matter. The Chiefs, the 49ers, great team. Ravens, good team. Bills, good team. If the Chiefs were not in this era, we would see some Super Bowls with some great teams, right? The Bills are a great team. The Bengals were a great team. There was a lot of great teams in this era where Super Bowls could have been won by other teams. But since Patrick Mahomes and company, and specifically Andy Reid, know how to coach under the spotlight, many teams have still struggled to trying to find that same aura.
Looking across, we have the San Francisco 49ers. They had the bye in the first round, but let's look back. Really dominant at the beginning, beating the Steelers, Rams, Giants, Cardinals, and Cowboys. A little bit of a skid towards the middle of the season, losing to the Browns, Vikings, and Bengals. Kind of got mollywopped against Cincinnati. That was the last game that we saw a healthy Joe Burrow righted the ship. I thought that Baltimore game was going to give them a lot more fits than it ended up doing. They looked kind of rusty coming out of everything, but I would say overall throughout the season, I mean, I should be happy. It turns out that I can't be happy that the 49ers are here because I'm beefing with Tyler and Fat Boy Fadeaway and the 49ers and Brock Purdy, but they were my preseason pick to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. I thought they'd be playing the Bengals because, I'm blinded by my orange and black glasses, if you couldn't tell. But this is the team that I thought from the very beginning, and a lot of people have thought from the very beginning, probably is the best team in the NFC and should be the team that represents the conference in the Super Bowl. They have the best players, best rosters, best playmakers in the NFL, and Brock Purdy seems to be a pretty decent quarterback, especially when it comes to crunch time.
And look, this roster compared to the last time these two teams faced the Super Bowl, the talent level is so much more immensely slanted towards the 49ers now, right? The additions of Chase Young, Christian McCaffrey, a more tenured Deebo Samuel, a more tenured Brandon Ayuk, much deeper defense. Like the additions are just wildly different, and that is a kudos to John Lynch and the Bronco West of the NFC, as we like to call it, with the amount of additions this team has. It's crazy because, like I said, this team last year was one game away, right? It was one game away. And then obviously we all remember Brock Purdy not being able to throw a football. And Josh Johnson, who was on the preseason roster for the Broncos last year, trot out there. And I remember telling myself, oh, this is fucked. They lost. Like, there's no chance. It doesn't matter how talented this team is because it's throwing a fourth-string quarterback out there. But Brock Purdy this year has shown he's not a third-string quarterback. He's not a second-string quarterback. He is a legit starter in this league. And like I said, getting him more comfortable with the run CMCs, the Kittles of the world, and especially this great offensive line makes life so much easier. And like I said, I think compared to that season, he has done a much better job than Jimmy has in making sure that the pieces around him get touches when they need to. Because each game you see Kittle get his touches. You see Deebo, you see CMC evenly split out where the defense is constantly guessing. It seemed as though that 2018 or 2017, whatever it was, team was more dependent on Elijah Mitchell, Raheem Mostert, and hoping Garoppolo didn't fuck up.
Manuel Sanders was there too.
Manuel Sanders, hoping not to fuck up throwing the football. And now that they have so many playmakers around them, Shanahan just doesn't know what to do with all these riches. And he's done an excellent job incorporating every single little piece.
Kittle, I think, is a guy that should be recognized. He's been a captain pretty much since he became the starting tight end. There's been a couple times he's close to breaking all-time tight end records and setting NFL records. I mentioned it last week, but when they lost the Super Bowl against Kansas City a couple years ago, he said it wasn't going to be the only time that he's there. He's going to get another chance. I think that was the mentality of this team. Think about it. I was thinking about it as a Bengals fan because I heard it on one of the shows that I listened to. But 2 years ago, we're in the Super Bowl, and now last year we went to the AFC Championship and lost to this guy, Patrick Mahomes. This year, Burrow's hurt, so we lost another year in this window. San Francisco 3 years ago very easily could have fallen into this land of obscurity. The Eagles lost the Super Bowl last season, made it to the playoffs, and were out in the second round and looked pitiful down the stretch. Like, come on now. It could have been a totally different shift, but I think Kittle, Fred Warner, the guys that have both sides of the football were able to rally behind what they already know they built. The fact that they know the struggle that it is to get there, why leave it that close? I think that's this second year that we're now seeing the comeback against in the playoff run, the comeback against
Packers.
let's see. Now I'm drawing a blank. The
Packers,
Packers and coming back against the Lions, to where you're tied at the start of the fourth quarter, where you don't even need a fourth quarter comeback. This is a team that knows they're very close to accomplishing the goal that they set out to do, and they know what it's like to have lost and see the confetti fall for the other side. I think that's a huge X factor for this side.
It's a huge X factor, and look, John Lynch has done an absolutely excellent job with this team. The draft room for the San Francisco 49ers is the best in football, in my opinion, and the GM staff right now is the best in football because let's not forget this team traded away a multitude of draft picks to go get Trey Lance, to go get their quarterback of the future. Let's not forget, Trey Lance is now a backup quarterback on the team that they just shit kicked in the playoffs or during the regular season and didn't do anything in the playoffs. They traded up to go get this guy. And all those draft picks that turned into lots of future assets for the Dolphins and everything, they didn't have those. You find your quarterback in a 7th-round pick, and then look, you decide, you know what? Christian McCaffrey over there in San Francisco, what did Mike Shanahan do? Oh, he won some Super Bowls with a talented running back and great receivers. Kyle, let's do the fucking same, right? Right? Mike Shanahan built it better than anybody. He said, you know what, Elway, at the back end of your career, let's not let you do everything. Let's get a workhorse running back, cough, cough, Christian McCaffrey, and put 2 great receivers on the outside and say, do you what you do best and manage a football game. Yes, I said that, Tyler. And Kyle has done an excellent job forming this team around how he wants to build a championship roster. Because like I said, they play hard-nosed football defensively, and offensively they get the ball to their playmakers and make the most out of every single play they make. Because when they get the ball, whether it be a fucking 3rd and 10 throw to Kyle Juszczyk on the sideline toe tap in the NFC Championship, or it's a Christian McCaffrey 40-yard burst off an ISO play, this team just knows where to put guys in the correct places. It absolutely does. And like I said, with Shanahan's teams in the past, it was always missing one piece. Those years the year when they got to the Super Bowl, keep comparing it to there, they didn't have an offensive weapon that could be a big-time threat consistently. Mostert, Mitchell were good. Sanders was good. Kittle was good. They weren't the elite level players they are right now. You have 5 elite playmakers on your offense, 5, and that's not even including a top offensive line of football. And you're able to do that because of how good you drafted. Super Bowls are won by drafts. You win a Super Bowl, you create a legacy, you create a culture by securing great drafts. Plain and simple. When you add free agents, those are pieces to get you over the hump. But you build that through the draft, and adding McCaffrey to the core they built through the draft, the 49ers have done it better than anybody.
I want to bring up the point that I also brought up for Andy Reid. If Kyle Shanahan coaches himself out of this game, like we've seen him do in the past, cough, cough, 28-3 as the offensive coordinator for Atlanta. The last time back in 2020 when these two teams met in the Super Bowl, 10-point lead blown in the fourth quarter. Take what is there in front of you. You have done this too many times. If you do it again, it's a trend. It's already started to become a trend. Don't confirm that. You have a lot of people behind you. Creek has had the San Francisco flag up in the halls as the students walk by for the past couple of weeks because Shanahan's an alumni of Cherry Creek High School. We're both alumni of Cherry Creek High School. Like it's a very known fact that a lot of people, I mean, I saw it as I was scrolling through ESPN earlier today. Chiefs are the villain, and the Chiefs know that they're the villain, and the Chiefs don't really care right now because they have one singular goal in mind, and they're very damn good at accomplishing it. But this 49ers team seems to be like stone cold. They're almost, if we're going to make analogies, I'm going to compare this to a bar fight. Kansas City's the toughest guy in the bar, but they've been there for a while. They've been grizzled. They've had a couple wars, but they're always there. They always end up on top. San Francisco's that quiet guy that just walked in, and he's sitting down at the bar, and he's impressive, and somebody's just waiting to test him. If people have tested him so far, He's shown what he's worth, and we're ready to have ourselves a heavyweight throwdown on Sunday. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that it's knockdown, drag out, hell of a game. I don't want it to be a boring show.
And for those that just are unaware of all the ties that this team and why I said that this is Denver Broncos West, like I said, Kyle Shanahan, Cherry Creek alum, where both you and I went to high school. Christian McCaffrey, Valor Christian High School, right down the street from us. Brian Greasy, quarterback coach. I think he's quarterback coach, maybe offensive coordinator, one of the two. Quarterback coach for the 49ers. John Lynch, Hall of Famer for the Denver Broncos and Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Hall of Famer in the Ring of Fame here in Denver. Then you have the multitude of players as well, right? Randy Gregory over there, brought over. You like it's there's a lot of great talent from this 49ers team. And yes, we hate Kansas City here in Denver. Yes, we do. But look, I'll say I'll bring the kudos and adage to what Shannon Sharp said this week. It's like, man, it's cool to see all these old pictures of all those great Broncos teams being brought up with the McCaffreys and with the Shanahans of the world, because those are some of the best times this franchise has ever had. And seeing that next generation trying to go get one themselves, if the Broncos can't do it, it's cool to see people who brought a lot of joy to the city also succeed. And seeing McCaffrey and seeing Shanahan and seeing John Lynch and all these great Broncos and great Coloradans succeed, it's icing to the cake.
I'm just going to put this out there, Nico. Last time the 49ers won a Super Bowl, Mike Shanahan was the offensive coordinator. So maybe somebody from this staff goes on and solves your problem.
Ed McCaffrey was also on that team. Let's not forget.
Ed McCaffrey was also on that team, yes.
And he got brought over with Mike to the Broncos. But yeah, there's a ton of ties. It's crazy how many ties. And
ties all over the field.
It's all over the place.
Ties everywhere. Speaking of ties, this is a good place to bring up prop bets. We are going to talk a little bit. I have something that I'm going to just kind of spring on you, but it's based around where you used to go to school. So there's your hint. And it's something that I normally wouldn't know is going on, but I happen to remember is happening this weekend. But before we get into that, we always like to look at the prop bets. This week, when we make our pick for the Super Bowl, it's worth 25 points. If you missed last week, I'm ahead by 5 points. If we have the same pick for the Super Bowl, we're also going to see we're going to use these prop bets as a way to gauge who's going to win. So they're silly. They're not always based around the game. I picked a couple that were, and this is how we're going to reveal who we're picking for the Super Bowl. Because if you haven't noticed, we have not given away who we're picking, even though it's probably pretty easy to figure out who Nico's not going to pick. Just by process of elimination, and the fact that the Stanford, for those of you on the East Coast, that's a Stanford Cardinal Christian McCaffrey jersey. You guys never stayed up late enough to watch him dominate college football, but he was the best, and he's proving that he's still pretty damn good. All right, I have him scrolling across the screen, so if you're watching live on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button, leave a like, and if you're watching back, subscribe to the channel anyways. Reba McEntire is singing the national anthem, so it's another country singer. We talked last year, country singers tend to go long. This year, the over-under for the national anthem is set at 86.5 seconds. So about 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, basically. Star Spangled Banner, national anthem. It can be as long or as short as you want it. I'm just hoping, at least I know Reba's a good singer, and it's not going to sound like Fergie. No offense, Fergie, and I know the NBA players love that, but it's not going to be that way. I feel like she's going to milk it. So I'm going to say it's going to be I'll go over 86.5 seconds for the national anthem.
There's a couple of things that obviously the country singer part of it takes into a massive account, right? Because country singers more like to speak their words, and I'm not making stereotypes here, but that's just what country singers do. I'm going to go under here because last year with Stapleton, I believe it was under as well. And it surprised a lot of people. And I don't look, I don't know what the rules are for this. And obviously I work in a sport where I can't legally bet on anything in season. So like I said, I can't bet on the Super Bowl, funny enough, because I'll be in season on Sunday. So yes, you heard that correctly. So I won't be talking about any of those bets, but yeah, it is crazy to think like, when you're the national anthem singer, that family people will be like, hey, speed this shit up, or hey, slow this shit down. It
Reba,
does go.
Reba, remember Whitney Houston. Do Whitney.
Which Whitney Houston? The one that the flash the crowd or the was that Whitney?
No, I was talking about the national anthem one at the Astrodome. I don't know what you were talking. I don't know what one you were talking about. I watched the movie and everything. That wasn't in there.
I forgot who it was that flashed the crowd at the halftime show.
Oh no, that was Janet Jackson.
That was
Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson.
You're right. I was off on that. I'm gonna go under. Stapleton bummed me out last year when he obviously went under. So I'll just say it goes under because I think that honestly, there's so much fucking juice that needs to be talked about in this game, and so many video packages of shots at Taylor, shots at the game that they'd be like, hey, keep it to fucking 60 to 70 seconds. Like, well, this ain't about you, dog. We ain't here for you. I'll tell you what. Stapleton, voice, great enough. This is Dolly Parton, conversation for it. Or even McIntyre, this is 2024, okay? No one really gives a fuck about you. I'm sorry.
She's just a single mom who works too hard and loves her kids and never stops, Nico. She
has
gentle hands and the heart of a fighter.
Reba is a legend. Shout out Little Rascals movie she was in. If you know the reference, you know the reference. I just think that people like, this is there's more juicier things here. So give me the under.
All right. Will the national anthem be a cappella? Yes or no? Is she gonna have something behind her?
I'll go no. I think it's just her.
All right.
I think it's just her.
Yeah, a cappella is just her.
Oh yeah. Then yes, it is her. I'm sorry. I forgot what acapella was for a second. I thought acapella was a group. Fuck. Okay.
It's perfect.
Yeah,
yes.
You're right. Just herself.
Yeah,
no one else.
I'm also gonna go yes. I don't think there's gonna be anything because if she is gonna milk it, if she does go over, it's gotta be acapella because then she can take as long as she wants. Next one is based around the fact that this is gonna be in Las Vegas. So I believe it's the first, well, besides the Stanley Cup final, obviously, but this is like the first neutral site. And this is a major event for the city of Las Vegas. The prop is what Las Vegas landmark will be shown first. This is also interesting for the two of us because we used to play in the national tournament out there. We've been to Vegas quite a bit. I've been now as an adult as well. It's awesome. It's amazing. But what landmark from Vegas do you think is going to be shown first?
Does this take into account after the initial kickoff? Is my question. That because that will change my tune.
I think it's going to be,
or is it? I don't know if
it's going to be. It's not the kickoff. It's when they switch from. So after the last bit of the pregame, so they go from the pregame show, and then they play like this broadcast is private property
CBS,
of the NFL, everything. And then CBS comes through. Once they like show the opening, it's when they put their title thing up on the screen, what landmark is going to be behind it. So like for Colorado, it's always the mountains.
This may be a cop-out answer because if it was before, because it technically is before the kickoff, I would lean toward the Welcome to Las Vegas sign. That's my lean. But I am going to go with, I think this is a cop-out answer because this is kind of fucking a little iffy. I think they're going to go with the strip skyline. A strip skyline of just all the cars and everything over the strip. I think that will be the initial because I think the Welcome to Las Vegas thing will be the very, very opener for like the pregame show. And I think that will be the opener when we're like during a timeout or something, just showing the city. I think that it'll be over the city, just a mass mayhem over the city. And I think that's what I'll go with.
I'm trying to, my thinking behind this is what are they trying to make sure people, because this is obviously advertising for people to go to Las Vegas too. You don't have to come for the Super Bowl. You can come and get drunk and gamble anytime. This is everybody come. This is why they have the big shiny buildings because people see what goes on in Las Vegas and they're like, ooh, shiny lights, bright lights, lots of slots, money. Ooh, I want to go. What do they want people to see? I was thinking, Bellagio fountain because everybody hears about the Bellagio fountain. If you've seen The Hangover, the fountains is the intro credits is going in the background. The NHL All-Star game when it was in Las Vegas did a lot with the Bellagio fountain. But speaking of the NHL, I don't know. I'm thinking maybe the Sphere because the NHL draft is going to be in the Sphere. It's the new shiny toy.
That's a very, very good answer. I like that. I'm not going to change mine because I'll let you have that one. But that is because you can show the logo on the Sphere. Like when you look at the last couple of major events that Vegas had, obviously the Formula One race, they had that golf. They had some sort of major golf tournament down there as well. First thing they showed was Sphere. because they had a golf ball as a sphere. They had the Formula One little horse, or not horse, but like the racing helmet. Like that's a great combo. I did hear though that the U2 concert is a little underwhelming, is what I've been told. Is what I'm told in the sphere, because they don't play the hits. Is all I'm gonna say. I've not seen it in person.
They never play the hits.
I know,
They
but
they
if you don't
forcibly
play,
they forcibly downloaded a new album onto everybody's phone. You remember that shit? People were so mad.
I remember, and
If I tried to explain that to my students today, they'd be like, "What? It just it just showed up on your phone and like took a whole gigabyte of your data."
It's crazy. Yeah, everyone was like, "Why the fuck is U2 on my phone?" It was like the only music
I didn't order a U2 album.
It's like, and everyone searched through their history. I'm like, I didn't purchase this. Where the fuck did that come from? And yeah, no, it was a wild time to be alive. Is all I'm gonna say. iPhone, what was it, 6, 7, somewhere around there? 2012, I think. It was like
seven generations of the iPhone ago, Nico.
That's now we're aging ourselves.
Moving on. Will Gronk. It's the Kick of Destiny Part 2. I mentioned this at the center of attention. I guess I didn't even give you really a chance to talk about it, but Carl Weathers has been in those commercials. FanDuel did come out and say that they're changing it up. They're going to have somebody different in the commercials now, out of respect. But the bet is, will Gronk make or miss his Kick of Destiny? He missed it last year, which is why they're doing the Part 2 and giving him a redemption shot. You like to think in a redemption shot that they're going to give it to him. I think they're going to go with the double swerve. I think they're expecting everybody to expect him to make it. And Vegas is going to clean up, and he's going to miss. He's going to miss for 2 years in a row.
So last year you couldn't bet on that. That was just like a fun little FanDuel thing. This year, through the FanDuel app, no free shout outs, you can physically bet on if he's going to make it. And right now, majority of the bets are on him to make it, because obviously they don't think he's going to miss it 2 years in a row. For that reason, I'm going to go miss as well. I think they swerve again, or I'm going to throw this out that he misses it, but I throw it out that they make it in the commercial, because I think that they'll because John Cena was
like a dude perfect thing.
Like he misses it, but someone else comes up and kicks it also and makes it, and I think that could be John Cena. So technically, Gronk misses it, someone else makes it. I think that's where we're going to go with for me. I'm not going to say put down that someone else is going to make it, but with all these other celebrities in this commercial, and all those very clever commercial. I don't know if you saw the Paramount commercial. That shit had me dying. Like it's going to be very interesting how they do it all. John Cena was rumored. Obviously, they had Carl Weathers in there. He won't be there, but like they've had a level of celebrities go in there, so I would not be surprised at all if it was a swerve where he misses it, and they have, like, I don't know, Vinatieri walk up, be like, "I heard you need a big game kicker," and makes it, and then that's the commercial. And I would not be surprised at all if that happened.
Now moving into the casual side of the game, the FanDuel is commercial. That was the Kick of Destiny last year, and now into the halftime show. We all know it's coming at some point. It's got to be in the set. If it's not, I'm going to be pretty upset. Yeah. When is Usher going to sing? Yeah. In the prop, it said beginning, middle, or end of his set. When is Yeah going to be blasting through our television screens as we're all getting a refill on our drinks and chips and dip?
First one. And I want you to write this down. It's going to start out Peace Up A-Town. Is that Yeah? Yeah, that's Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, that's going to start with that. It's going to have a little light show. It's going to be up, and then he's going to come out Peace Up A-Town, and then it's going to drop, and it's going to be the first song. I will stand on that, because look, you only get 3-4 songs, and they're like halves of songs. Let's not forget, they're not fucking full-length songs. So you come out with a banger to start, and you just let it rip in my town, because that's because, like I said, I forgot who it was. I think it was the year the Bengals won the Super Bowl. Was the year when they had like 8 different rap artists.
That was Eminem, and that was
Dr. Dre.
Dr. Dre. It was Dr. Dre was the main one, but Dr. Dre brought Snoop, Eminem, and all those guys. Let's see.
And they didn't start with the little chime. I forgot.
You don't think that he's gonna? You don't think that he's gonna pull out "Love in This Club"?
No, absolutely not.
I know that. I know.
No, you as you were saying that, you were like, you're talking yourself out of that. You're like, no, I can't do that.
These are my confessions. Yeah, it's probably gonna be that one. I feel like he should just do Yeah and bring Ludacris back and Lil Jon just and have all those three. I mean, Ludacris is now in the State Farm commercial, so we're gonna see Ludacris on Sunday as well.
Here's another prop you can throw in there. Just one that I thought of on the top of my head. Over under 2.5 guests with him.
Oh, it's gonna be over. It's
you think
gotta be
over? I think it could be under. I think it goes 2 on the dot. It's very, very solo.
It's also, but it's Vegas. It's Vegas because if
does
people will be
an
out
Elvis
there,
impersonator walk up on the stage?
No, he may cover an Elvis song, but there ain't gonna be no. You think Usher's gonna let somebody else on the stage? No.
All I'm gonna say is I would not be surprised to see someone dressed up as Elvis in the fucking.
Does Taylor Swift come down and do a pop-up performance in the middle of his set?
No, I'm gonna say no to that.
People are the new conspiracy going around, and it's funny because my grandmother, she's an avid listener of this show, which is awesome, but and also a little bit concerning with some of the things that we talk about. But she was saying, like, you should get Raleigh on because she's a Swiftie and you guys need a Swiftie's point of view. I was like, the Swiftie point of view is just the general point of view every year of the Super Bowl. I want to watch the commercials and oh my God, Travis is on the TV.
Raleigh has a free invite during non-football season because like I said, this is a football show and we talk about football. And then I made
5 plus 3,
clear.
5 plus 8 is 13. Super Bowl 58. 13 is Taylor's favorite number.
Like I said,
you know what her favorite color is?
She has a free invite. She has a free invite after NHL and NBA playoffs. Free invite. She can come on whenever she wants. I am not.
I was just laughing. I was laughing because I was coaching the wrestling practice and I got a text message. She's like, you know what? You guys need this Swiftie point of view. I was like, we're kind of anti Swiftie point of view on this show. I don't think it would be a hostile environment if they did come on.
I'd say one bad thing, and all of a sudden I get crucified by the whole fan base. I've already been crucified by the whole fan base. I don't need to continue.
I'm gonna say Usher performs in the middle, just be a little bit different. Next one is about the game. Who's gonna score first? So this is just pure score. Any points that get put on the board?
Travis Kelce.
The Chiefs score first.
Chiefs score first. Chiefs get the ball first. 49ers win the toss. Chiefs score first. Get the ball first. Travis Kelce gets a touchdown, and the fucking ratings skyrocket. That's all I'm gonna say because we like to say the NFL is scripted, but this is a hell of a script they're writing. Okay, and what would be better than Travis Kelce getting the end zone first and showing Taylor on the fucking jumbotron right as the game starts. Is all I'm gonna say. You want to keep the fans invested. Taylor shows up in the first fucking 8 minutes of the football game after Travis scores. That's enough. That's enough to keep everyone watching, not just for the commercials, to keep everyone watching. So I believe the game's scripted. Give me Travis Kelce.
All right. I'm gonna go with the 49ers scoring first, but the way that it's gonna happen is on the first play, they're gonna throw an out route to Kelce when the Chiefs have the ball. But before the ball gets to him, we're going to have a dodgeball sequence where Taylor's up in the box. Travis, I love you. Pooh, gets blown up by Fred Warner. And then Dre Greenlaw picks it off and runs all the way. And Dre Greenlaw
scores the first touchdown. Yes. And Nick Bosa yells at him, Joni loves Chachi.
Exactly. You're on the same page now. I think San Francisco is going to score first.
Okay. I'm not going to pick who I want, but I'm just going to say that it's not a bad choice. I just think that the game is just it's Jimmy. It's like it's the perfect scenario for the NFL. It is, unfortunately, because as much as
they
don't want to say it is a perfect scenario. Because if Kelce scores a touchdown, my God, I mean, come on, it's the Super Bowl, but it's the biggest moment, one of the biggest moments in fucking pop culture.
Tony Romo starts rapping in the booth to shake it off.
Dude, I'm serious.
Is getting down.
I'm serious when I say Travis Kelce scoring the first touchdown of the Super Bowl may be one of the biggest pop culture moments in sports history. And it's crazy thinking about that. But
why do we have to talk about that? Why do we even have to talk about that? But it is you're not incorrect. This is how we're picking our Super Bowl champion. So this is how we're going to get our game picked. Last prop bet. It's the one that we do every year. What color is the Gatorade going to be for the winning team? Now, I guess I'm going to let you go first because you are trailing. So you get to choose the team and what color you think the Gatorade's going to be.
First things first, I'm not going to base this off of like dumb shit. Okay, I have reasoning behind this. and media day, which I was very, very watched very closely because there's a lot of interesting things about it. A lot of people asking interesting questions. Question was brought up to Andy Reid. The question was brought up to Kyle Shanahan. What color Gatorade is your favorite? Both said orange. Give me orange. I'm going to go orange. Absolutely going to go orange here. Both of them said their favorite Gatorade flavor is orange. Whether that makes a difference or not, I don't know. But apparently, like after that media day, the odds of orange jumped from plus 700 to like plus 350. Maybe it changed now, but it like skyrocketed after that happened. Because like I said, you don't know if that has any play into it. Because I'm sure a team may be like, you know what, I think we like this flavor more. Maybe this is the flavor we drank on the sideline when we won our last Super Bowl, something along those lines, or maybe it's hot commodity, whatever it may be. People have weird superstitions. That's the correct word. I'm not stitious. I'm not superstitious. Just a little stitious. And so I'm gonna go orange because both guys said orange. I'm going to the 49ers. I'm wearing a Christian McCaffrey jersey. I just called them the Denver Broncos West of the NFL. Like I said, I'm never going to root for the 49ers or the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. I will never. I don't care as long as I live. And as long as Patrick Mahomes is a damn good quarterback in this league, I would never root for them. Just plain and simple. I will never pick them in the Super Bowl, and I sure as hell will never root for them. And like I said, seeing Christian, seeing John Lynch, seeing Ed McCaffrey there, seeing Kyle Shanahan, a lot of ties, hosting a Super Bowl would be a dream come true. Absolutely dream come true for all of us Broncos fans because it'd be a fucking stake into the fucking dynasty, and it'd be a kudos, and it'd be a great not rendition, but it'd be a great fucking what's the word? A great fucking not a great throwback and a great callback to some of the best Broncos teams of all time with the greats on this team. So give me the 49ers. Like I said, I'm going to be wearing my Christian McCaffrey jersey on Sunday when I'm in Virginia for the game and watching it with my team. And like I said, I will never look. I will never wear that color red. I will never wear that color red, and I will never wear that color yellow, especially rooting for them in the Super Bowl. Now, is it a smart move betting with my heart? No, it's not. It's a fucking idiotic move because betting against the Chiefs in the playoffs is a terrible idea, horrendous idea. It's why I think I lost last year's playoff fucking brackets.
Why you're losing this one?
Why I'm losing this one? It just does not do well for me at all. Okay, so I'm gonna die on my sword, and it sucks, but I'm going to do it and give me the 49ers.
All right, you're going orange Gatorade. You're going 49ers. I'm going to go blue Gatorade, basic bitch blue. That's my favorite flavor for anybody out there listening. If my students happen to find this, blue Gatorade. Blue Gatorade might boost your grade just a little bit. I didn't say that. Nobody heard that. I'm going with the Chiefs for the reason I think I'm 0 for 2 in the last couple of years picking Super Bowls. Obviously, I lost the Bengals one. I picked the Eagles last season, and it didn't happen. I've been killed by Patrick Mahomes so many times that I think I've finally been beaten down enough, but maybe I'm the mush that everybody needs, and this is going to be the end of the dynasty. I'm either going to win the playoff pick'em, and I'm going to sweep NFL picks this year for the podcast, first time in the show's history, or I lose and I don't have to deal with Patrick Mahomes being a 3-time Super Bowl champion within the first 7 years of his career.
You're hedging your happiness, which is honestly a lot smarter than what I'm doing. So I'm happy for you that you can be happy in one direction because I'm only happy in one direction. Or you're happy in two directions. I'm happy in one direction. So I unfortunately would bet in with my heart. And here we go.
All right. Last thing that we're going to talk about before we send everybody off to enjoy the Super Bowl weekend festivities. The Wasted Management Open, baby. I have my cousin and her husband are going out there, so they're going to be. I think they're trying to plan on going to like the loudest hole that the one day,
16th hole.
16th hole. Yeah. But you been to?
I have. I have been 3 times. I have not stood at the 16th hole though. I have not stood there because unfortunately, the one year all my friends went to the 16th hole. I accidentally slept in and woke up at 6 o'clock when you have to be up literally at fucking 2 a.m. You have to stand in line at fucking 4 a.m. because if you're not there 2 hours before the gates open, and yes, I am not Joking. I am not joking. So if your friends are going to the Waste Management Open and plan on going to the 16th hole and sitting there, you need to be there at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. That's serious. That, not an inch of me lying about this, because it is a 4-hour wait to get into the 16th hole if you show up after. If you are not in the first wave, because that first wave there are X amount of seats and there's X amount of room. And look, I'm going to say this straight up: 16th hole is fun. It is one of the most legendary holes, in all of golf, and I love everything surrounding it. I've played TPC Scottsdale, and I literally shot 4 balls on hole 16 because of how legendary it is, and it was one of the coolest golf moments I've ever had in my life. But if you're going to go to the Waste Management Open, I would highly recommend what I did for all 3. Obviously, one of those wasn't my choices, but you walk around, follow a group you like. The couple years I went, I followed JT, I followed Bubba Watson, and then I followed a couple of the guys one other year. Following a group and just seeing them play like one of your favorite golfers is one of the most entertaining parts about it, because you see each hole, pause, you get to see how everything goes, and that's the best way to go about it. So I'd pick a guy you're like, man, I can't wait to see this guy. This is my guy. And maybe you don't have that guy. Then go to a random hole. Maybe like 15. I know 15 has that bunker on the back end. I think 14 also has that. There's a couple other really, really fun holes. There's a hole out, I think it's 16, or not 16. I think it's 15 that has the hole right before hole 16, where it's an island where the hole is on, and it's one of the coolest holes. I literally shot 5 shots into the water in that hole. Is all I'm gonna say. So it's not good if you're an amateur golfer, but it's entertaining golf. And like I said, today, as I was working today, I had it on the back rack, so I was enjoying it. Obviously, weather delay, unfortunately, waited out, but it is one of the most fun atmospheres you'll ever see. You'll ever get to be a part of. I recommend everyone, because the Masters is a tournament that is a notch of everything.
It's stuffy.
It is the premier. It is the Super Bowl of golf. If you want to go to the fucking frat party of golf and fucking chug some beers,
you want to go have some fun.
You want to have some fun. You want to look. This is my.
You're not a patron. You're not a patron this weekend.
You are a fucking frat boy, okay? And you ride those colors proud, because majority of the people, I cannot tell you how many people I walked around that weekend and saw get carried out of and exit out because they were way too drunk. Because it's hot, it's humid, because it's weird springtime / wintertime, and you're drinking a lot of beer, and it can be a long run, is all I'm going to say. It can be a long run if you don't stay hydrated and find some shade. Wear a hat, wear something that you're able to sweat in, and pound some drinks, is all I'm going to say.
The Southwest is going to be consuming just so much alcohol this weekend.
It's
the fact that the Super Bowl's in Vegas and Waste Management Opens in Arizona now, it's going to be. Whew.
Well, last week it was the same weekend, and it was just absolutely mayhem. The amount of people that it was the same week that all of that was going on, and like I said, going out to school in Arizona and going to the event. If you're in the Arizona area, the tickets are not super expensive. It's literally general admittance. There's no seats. Like you find a spot, you stand there, or you bring a little metal chair and you take a seat and just watch guys go by. Or you fall around, walk around. But like I said, 16th hole it's something else. It is something else. You get booed if you don't hit the green. You get cheered if you hit the green. If you shank the ball, you get booed the whole tournament. If you get a hole in one, you're a forever legend. One of the best shots in golf history, and one of the most memorable is Tiger Woods holing or ace. I think it's eagling or acing 16 in like 2001 or 2002, and the crowd went erupted and went nuts. And that was the pre craziness of this tournament. So like I said, if you're bored on Saturday and you have nothing to do outside of pray for the Super Bowl and watch Super Bowl highlights, throw on a Waste Management Open. You'll enjoy it.
I think that's a good place to end this one. Be sure, wherever you're checking us out, subscribe, like the video, Tell a friend if you're listening back on audio. Be sure to follow the show, whichever platform you're listening on. Check us out on Variety Sports as well. Be sure to give them a follow at Variety_Sports_. We're at FEOTB Pod. Episode 171 live. Super Bowl 58.
I will say one more thing. Nuggets are playing the Lakers right now on Kobe night. Kobe just got a statue unveiled. If you're listening to this live, just know that I may come at a ton of Lakers fans' heads tonight on Twitter. Okay, so be prepared to see a lot of tweets about this game because I would love nothing more than to show them who's daddy. Put up the ticker, Jimmy. Show them who's fucking daddy. Yeah. Oh, it's there, and to remind them who runs the West. So it's 16-11 right now. So after this, I'm gonna go. Obviously, watch the rest of this game. But like I said, Kobe, happy got a statue, happy got honored. This is Denver's time. It's we run the show.
For myself, Jimmy Pilato, my co-host Nico Bryant, episode 171 of the Far End of the Bench podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you next time.
Peace.
If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit on the far end of the bench.